Hello. So I'm a poet. I've had the honor of writing poetry since I was 12 years old. Most recently, in the last 6 years, I became involved with this competitive form of poetry we call slam, and have the opportunity to represent our county internationally. What a blessing it is to be living the work that I truly love and feel inspired by. It's really important to me, though, to give you some context to what that means for me when I say that I'm a poet. For me, the easiest translation, the easiest definition I have is that I'm an activist. And I say that because one of the expected outcomes of oppression is systematic silencing. I can look in my own lineage and my own roots, and I can look at my father's side of the family, African American. We're looking at a legacy where we haven't really been legally allowed to speak for only a little more than 100 years. So indeed, standing in my skin and telling my story and sharing in an honest way is a revolutionary act. I want to make sure, yeah, amen. Yeah. I think, though, that we sometimes miss something here when we talk about what oppression does. We look at the targeted group, we look at the group that's being oppressed, and we assume that whoever else is involved isn't being hurt or silenced by these oppressive structures. And that's a lie. As a biracial woman, I have the blessing of having many lenses to look through. And the beautiful woman that raised me, Valerie Schlafke, taught me a lot, but taught me really early on that there was no public forum or space that she could talk about race at all as a white woman, raising a brown child that had anger and frustration and sadness and guilt. So let's remember that it's not just oppressed groups that get silenced, but that men are hurt by sexism, right? Because there's not spaces that they can then be emotional or creative as we dictate in this crazy old society we live in. So, having said that, what do you want to use your voice for? What do you have to speak up around? It's noted that it's an international #1 fear. There's some stuff to be scared of out there, right? Where there's wars going on and all kinds of random violence. But the biggest fear in the world is public speaking. I would like to contend that this is in part because of the systematic oppression that we've been trained into and raised up into. And I'm here to challenge that and really encourage you all to do the same. Now, when I say creative resistance, some people are like, why are we resisting things? I don't want to. Not this crowd, apparently. I just want to say aloud that the reason it's so imperative for me to resist certain things because there's problems with the current paradigm that Audre Lorde makes a metaphor that it's based on not using the master's tools to dismantle the plantation, right? So if we're in this system that is based on colonialism and all kinds of oppression, capitalism, stuff that doesn't personally work for me, I have to resist something. I have to speak up against it. And that's part of the activism. So I'm going to share a poem with you. And this is a poem I did not want to share at TEDx. But I read my topic. And I was like, So I'm here to share the piece that for me is scariest to share in public. One of the ways I choose in my work to end silence is to come out of the closet around all different kinds of things and create forums and spaces for kind of isolated folks to express and connect. This poem I wrote based on a conversation I had with my mother, and that's all I'm going to say. Other than I ask of you to really think, what is creative resistance? And how does this poem represent that? What am I resisting? What am I saying? How do I get more than one job done in 3 minutes? You can let me know in the lobby. Here I go. While the hospital bracelets still look fresh against my weary skin, my mother asks me what it feels like to be bipolar. This is a type of coming out of the closet that I will always resent. I want to tell her the best parts first, so I tell her. It's magic carpet rides when you fall in love. Music in the body expelling even through fingertips just how spacious big can feel. How much I get to love her. With horror in her eyes, she leans in and asks, that's the manic part, right? No. For those of us forced to share our most beautiful pieces under glass, imagined ourselves museum exhibits, grateful for the patrons even while they wear us down, for synapse-delayed reactors with wide vision and big feelings. When someone asks you what it feels like to be bipolar, make sure they have room enough for your answers. See, my mother wasn't ready for the details. How the first time I fell in love, I held him so close I could see all his secrets, to watch him harden his shell ritualistically. See, intuition and mysticism, they do not always detour to avoid hell. Mama, are you sure you're ready? It's a lot to understand what good friends I've made with suffering, how I fall down the beanstalk so often I've now mastered hard soil standing. Do you want to know my secrets? Like how when my coworker says to me, I don't even know how to lie. I don't even know what she means. I have to make friends with the truth daily just to remember how to use it, and I know you've read the articles. You comb my words for symptoms, alchemize my expression to fit what you've learned. Excited is now manic, and you are riddled with panic. Do you remember what it was when I was just your little girl? The fieriest part of your spirit amplified. Do you remember taking chances and guesses at what I might become? A minister, a teacher, the president, me dancing all the while, pretending not to hear your compliments. See, being bipolar, it's just like that, but there are no compliments. It's watching circles of your kin postulate your future's limitations and pretending not to hear. I cannot help that my father's liquids hiss and froth with yours like baking soda to vinegar, nor that I am that bitter tasting explosion. I love you big. Unbalanced and uncensored, I love you from both sides of this closet door, and you may never know what it feels like to be bipolar. But I hope that you will die remembering what it was to be loved by someone crazy.